Hi everybody, this video is for Monday, March 25th. We didn't have internet this morning for quite a few hours, and so I did something kind of off the cuff, and I'm apologizing to you right now because it may not make sense in the video. And that's okay. When you get back to school, I need you to talk to me about it, and I can explain what we did. But in the meantime, let me go over a couple of these documents, okay? So if you go into today's folder, you will notice the two PDFs that are sitting there. The first one is your chemical reactions vocab and key concepts. So let's take a look at that. You see that part one is just where you're going to write the definition for each vocabulary word. I want you to use this test to practice. You can download it in your, in your GoodNotes, and then you can practice writing it. And if you struggle, then, erase them and then try again and over and over and over again. But you can see I've got atoms, chemical formula, chemical reaction, extended structure, fertilizer, molecule, product, property, reactant, rearrange, and substance. On page 2, I've got a space for you to write your key concepts from each chapter. You'll notice that I've got chapter 1 or PB1, and the title is properties and atoms. And so remember, each one of these key concepts has to do with the properties and the atoms involved in in each substance. So if you want to remember it as macro and micro scale information, that's probably the best. You're going to notice that I also included the first keyword or maybe the first two keywords. Key concept number 2 is just a reminder that we use models to talk about things that are too large or too small to be seen with the naked eye. I'm not super interested in having you write that one down. And I didn't want anybody to go, gosh, I know there's 4 of them, I can't remember them. And so then you remember this one, but you don't remember another one, and then mess your whole thing up. So I'm just including this one just as a space placer, I guess. Place spacer? Anyway, I'm writing in key concept number 2. You don't have to do that. I'm not grading that one. You ultimately will have to figure out key concept number 1, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, remember PB2 is all about reactions, and so the first phrase on key concept 5, 6, and 7 is during a chemical reaction. And then I went ahead and put the first word after that for each one, and I did the same thing for PB3. Remember, in PB3 or chapter 3, accounting for atoms, these two key concepts have to do with whatever atoms are on the reactant side, then those exact same number and types of atoms have to be over on the product side. And I gave the analogy that when we have a fire drill, I have to account for all of my students when we get outside. What that means is whatever student or whoever I had in my room before the fire drill, I needed to make sure that they're out on the field after the fire drill. So kind of think about that analogy when you're remembering key concepts 8 and 9. Okay? All right, so that's the first thing I want to show you. And the second document I want to show you is this one. It's called CR Mid-Unit Assessments to use for end of the unit assessment. All right, so this is the one that might be a little bit confusing just having you read it. Like I said, we didn't have internet today, and so I just went in my book because I couldn't get online to go to Amplify, and I copied and pasted the questions for the mid-unit assessment. And I only did the first 6, and believe it or not, we only got to 1, 2, and 3 in class. That was it. And then I'm going to encourage you to do 4, 5, and 6 on your own. So the directions say read the question and underline or put a box around the important information found in each question. And then you've got a second page that's just a blank document, just a blank page. And I was able to access my notes on my board or on my TV screen, whatever, on that Mimeo. And so I help the kids make notes, and or draw a picture of the diagram, and you'll understand when you start to read this. And then based on that, we're going to answer the question in the space provided. So I'm going to read the first one and just sort of explain why or what. It says the diagram above shows the repeating groups of atoms that make up 2 samples. So in that first sentence, you would underline the information that we have where there are 2 samples. So just underline 2 samples. I don't know if I can highlight it. I don't think I can. And then the question is, will the properties of the 2 samples likely be the same or different? Based on the information in the sentence here, we really don't know because we don't know what the properties are. And you can't see a diagram to determine some information. So I will share all of that with you on whenever you come back to school. And then based on that, then you'll be able to move on and do this. So what I'm trying to tell you is you are not going to be able to work on this page by yourself. It's going to be way too confusing. And so why don't you please, instead of working on that second PDF, go ahead and start working on your chemical reactions, vocab, and key concepts test. This is just a practice test to see how much you know. When you get finished, go back and look in your vocab flashcards and see how close you are. And one thing I'm going to tell you right now, don't use the word stuff in your definitions. Be specific. If you want to use the word atoms, use atoms. If you want to use the word molecules, use molecules. If you want to use the word substance, use the word substance. Don't say atoms make up all the stuff. Like, be scientific, be specific. Okay? All right, you guys, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.